Hello everyone, welcome to Vab Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Today we'll be learning how to make this beautiful Bubu butterfly gown. It's a combination of two laces and then it's also a cut together with sleeve. As you can see, it has a slit around the sleeve area. So without wasting time, let's get right into it. So these are the fabrics I'll be using to achieve this butterfly gown. I have this coffee brown. They are the same pattern, so just different colors of lace. Okay. So here I have 3 yards of this one, and then I have 2 yards of the yellow. Okay, so this is the one that is going to be at the upper part and at the lower part. So this will just be in the middle. So to get started, remember that we're going to achieve the slant as I showed us on the mannequin. Okay, so I'm going to place my fabric on fold and show us how to achieve the slant. So this is to show us the width of the fabric I'll be using. Can you see that what I have here is 24 inches. So this is, you remember that it's a butterfly gown I'm making. It's a cut together with sleeve. The person's actual shoulder measurement is 17 inches, which is 8.5, because this is on fold. Our shoulder measurement will always divide it by 2. So basically what this means that the length of this sleeve now, that's from this 8.5 here, what I have left now is 16 inches. So that means this sleeve or this part of the butterfly will stop at her 3/4 length, or a little less than her elbow length, because the elbow length is 13 inches. So I have 16 inches, so meaning it's going to stop below the elbow. So it's a cut together with sleeve. So the width I'm using here is 24 inches. Okay, so I'll be opening my fabric. Remember that we're going to be cutting it slanted. So the right side is going to be lower than the left side. Okay, so now that my fabric is opened, on this side, I want to have a length of 20 inches. Okay, and then on this other side, I want to have a length of, I'm going to be using the armhole length. The armhole length of this person is 9 inches, so I'm going to be adding 2 inches, so I'm using a length of 11 inches here. So remember that we have to follow the scallop shape like I showed us on the mannequin. So basically, I'm just going to be cutting this straight now. I'll slant it. Then before we go ahead and follow it and trim to give us the scallop shape so that we'll have the flower shapes. That's why you have to, that's why I'm using, because here now that I used 20 inches, what I actually need is 18 inches. So but because I want to achieve the scalloped part, that is why I went ahead to use 20 inches so that I can have those parts to trim. Because if I use 18 inches now, by the time I start trimming, to bring me to 16 inches. I hope that is clear. So I'm going to bring my ruler and slant this line and then cut out this part. I have my line drawn out this way. So here is what I have for the front. As for the upper part, so now I'm going to fix in I'm going to bring the yellow color to cut the second part that will also be underneath it. So now I have my yellow, that's the yellow lace. I'm going to place it like so. Remember that they are the same thing, like I said, it's just the colors that are different, or the color that is different. Okay, so I'm going to place it like this. Okay, I didn't mention the length of this person. The length I'm using is length 62 inches. So can you see I'm placing this now on top of this. I'm going to place it with like almost from this side. I'm going to be placing it with like 4 inches. Can you see? So can you see what I have here? This is even up to 6 inches. So I'll go ahead and place it like that because remember that this side is slanted. So I'm just going to get my pins and pin it down so that we can now slant the other side. Pin it. Now you can see that because it's a slanted line, of course, this part will have more laying under it compared to this side. So I've placed it on it. So here, at this edge here, I have almost 6 to 7 inches laying under this. And then at this part, you can see that it's smaller. What I have here is about, let me make sure. So I have this laying underneath it. Okay, so basically around this part, I have like 2 inches under it, which is going to give what we are looking for. Okay, because I'm going to be cutting like this to achieve that scallop part. So you need to be careful because you need to have the part that will be top stitched on top of it to hold them together. Okay, so this is what I have now. So I'm going to now drag it this way so that I can achieve the slanted part on the yellow lace. So, so, for the yellow lace, I will come down here. I'll come down here by 30 inches. So remember that I've come down by 20 inches, which I said by the time I trim it, I'll be left with 18 inches. So I'm just going to place my tape here and assume that this is where my 18 inches is. And then I'll come down because like what I'm doing for the front, I will repeat the same thing for the back. It's going to be exactly the same thing. And remember that I'm looking for a length of 62 inches by the time I'm done. So plus my hemming allowance, so everything will be 64 inches. Okay, so I'll come here now. I'm going to mark at this 45 inches. So here is 45 inches. So let me see the length I have here. If I'll still have the same amount to work with the back. I have 33. So then I have 14. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. So I can come here now and mark. I have everything I have here. I'm going to add extra 2 inches to it to make it 29 inches. So at this side, I'm going to have 29 inches also. So on the other side that is slanted, I have 29 inches in all at this side. At this side, I'm going to be reducing that 29 by 9 inches. So I'm going to have 20 at that side. So 20 plus the extra 2 inches. So I'm going to just go ahead and use the same 20 inches so that the slant comes out well. So here, this will be 22 inches so that I can slant it. So I'll bring in my ruler and slant it towards that point also. Deadline now. I'm going to cut it this way now. Okay. So I have the second slant. So now to place the brown lace also, Remember, we have a difference of 9 inches. Here is 29, that side is 20 inches. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I have that 9 inches sitting on top of it like this. 9 inches plus. So this that's like 11 inches. So here I have my 11 inches because remember that I'm going to be cutting the scallop part. So that's why I'm putting that extra so that I will have the scallop part to top stitch on top of the lace. I hope it's making sense. So here I have my 11 inches. So I'm going to pin this side now. So can you see? So this is what we have. So you can see that I now have my slant on top of it. So this side is laying forward with the same, this is, but let me measure it so that we'll see what is overlapping on top of it. So can you see we have like 3 inches overlapping on top of it. And you can see how slanted our the lace is, okay? So I'm going to pin that side too. Okay, so this is what we have. So now we have joined all that we need to join. So now we're looking for the full length of that of the bubu. Remember I said I'm using 62 inches and then plus hemming allowance of 1 inch or 1.5. So that will be like 63, or you can go ahead and use a hemming allowance of 2 inches. So I'm going to now place it on fold since I have my fabric pinned together so that I can now go ahead to cut out my length. So now I've placed my fabric on fold. So I'll go ahead and do my shoulder slant. Okay, before I go ahead to get my length. Remember that it's a boo dress, so I'm going to be top stitching in front. So it's in front that I'm going to be drawing the shape or entering my measurements. Okay, so right now I'm going to get my shoulder slant. I'll mark 3 inches and then I'll go ahead and mark my 8 inches. So remember that it's a cut together with sleeve. I'll go down at this point at this 8 inches by 1 inch. So I'll slant it all the way to the end because it's a cut together with sleeve. From my 8 inches here, I'm just going to draw my slanted line that will go all the way to this end here. So I'll go ahead and cut out the shoulder slant. Okay, so now we have our shoulder slant. I'm going to be using same neckline for both front and back. I'm going to be using a neck depth of 5 inches and then a neck width of 4 inches. So I'll mark my neckline. I'm using both same neckline for both front and back. You can go ahead. I'm using this neckline based on the person's size. The person is a plus size. So if you are working with a small size, please use 3 inches or 3.5 depending on the person's or depending on what the person wants or what you want. This neckline you can see I'm going to have the same thing for front and back. Everything I'm doing, I'll repeat the same thing at the back. So now go ahead to mark my length 63. That's 62 plus hemming allowance of 1 inch or 1.5. Okay, so I'm going to take my measurements now. My table is not wide, my table is just 60 inches, so that's why the parts will have to go up. So this is 60 inches, so plus 2 inches to give me 62, and then the hemming allowance of 2 inches or 1.5. So in my case, I'm using 2 inches as my hemming allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the line this way. So this is what I have. So this is where the length ends. Okay. So this is what we have. So I'm going to remove them now, place them one after the other, and cut it out for the back before I now go ahead to start trimming to get the scalloped parts. So this is what the front piece or the back piece, whichever one it wants to be. Remember that I said they're going to have same thing for both front and back. So I'll go ahead and detach them, that's unpin them, and cut out the same thing I have here. So and then I'll show us the next thing to do. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut out my back piece like I explained. I said I was going to be doing exactly the same thing. So can you see that I placed it good face facing good face? If you place it like this, let me explain. Let's say like this, good bad face facing good face, you're going to get the wrong side. That's you're going to be getting exactly what you have here, which is not going to serve as the back. So you must place it good face facing good face, like so, so that you will have the opposite direction, which is the back. That's so that these two slanted parts will meet and then these two high parts will meet. So whether you are placing good face facing good face or bad face facing bad face or wrong side facing wrong side, you must make sure that you place it good face facing good face or wrong side facing wrong side, so that you get exactly the same thing that will be for the back, so that this part that is slanted will be on the right side, while this one, both for the front and back, will be on the left side. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. So the same thing is what I did here to the center. I placed it good face facing good face. So I have for the front and the back. I also have this down part for the front and the back. So remember that it's slanted. It's not something you want to just make any mistake. So it has to be the right side facing right side or bad side facing right and bad side, so that you get for your front or your back, whichever one you are referring to. Remember that we are using the same neck width and neck depth, like I explained. I'll be using the same neck width and neck depth for the front and the back. Okay, so now the next thing to do is I'm going to I'm going to start trimming my lace to achieve the scallop shape I'm looking for. So now let me bring in my scissors so that I can show us how to do it. So from this side now, you can start from the slanted side. So want to take away this part. So that's why you need to have that extra that I placed underneath it. If you have that extra, it will be easier for you, so that when you will still have the allowance to place on it, that's to top stitch on it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it like this. So I'll keep doing this till I get that we had. To the other end, then I'll show us what to do. Okay, So I haven't trimmed it. Can you see? After trimming, this is what I have. So this is what I have for the first one. My table is not big enough to carry it. Let me place it this way so that you can see clearer. Okay. Move my okay. So can you see what we have here? So I have my slant going this way. So now I've cut out the scalloped part. Can you see? So I have my flowers coming out. So anywhere you notice that you didn't cut well, just trim it properly. I just go ahead and trim properly. So can you see, if I hadn't added that 2 inches extra that I did, this wouldn't have gotten a place to overlap on. So whatever it is you're going to use at your measurement, increase it so that by the time you cut out your scalloped part, you will have the you have your allowance to chop stitch on. So this is what we have here. So I'm going to now do the same thing for this side. I'm going to trim the yellow lace now. I'm going to do the same thing for it and then place the brown underneath it. So I'll do the same thing for the back and then I'll show us how to, or I'll go ahead and top stitch it. It's just to top stitch, just so. I'm going to be following this scallop part. But before I do that, I'll use hemming gum to gum them together. I've top stitched my lace. Can you see how it's blending really nicely? So you can see this side that is towards my direction is the lower part. That's the slanted, that's the lower slant. And then of course this one is the higher slant. So you want to be very careful that all of them, you want to make sure that they are matching up. Can you see this side, the yellow? Can you see they are matching up here very well? And can you also see that the brown too are matching up here? So of course this side that is wider is still going ahead, is still matching up too at this side. So this is very important. So that's why when I said I was going to cut out exactly the same thing. Can you see the shorter side? You see it's also matching up. So now the next thing to do is to get my bias. I'll be using bias tape, my cutting bias, to turn the neckline. You can decide to use spacing. If you, I use 3 yards. I remember I said I was using 3 yards of the coffee brown and then 2 yards of the yellow. And this is what I have left will not be able to give me my facing. So I'm just going to use bias tape to neatly turn the neckline. So after turning the neckline, now the next thing to do is to join the shoulders. When joining the shoulder, I'm going to sew the shoulder this way. I'm going to sew it to 10 inches. I'm going to sew it to 10 inches. So here is my 10 inches. So I'll stop at this 10 inches. So I'll leave the other part opened. So meaning that I have to, that half inch I used to join, I have to fold that half inch. So you can just weave this side, use your weaving machine to weave this side so that it's neat and then you fold it nicely. After doing that now, the next thing to do is to shape this butterfly gown. Okay, to achieve this couple this gown, I'm going to make sure to pin this. So I'm going to do that now so that we'll see it. Okay, I'll have to draw my shape. So what I'll do, I'll fold my fabric into two to get the center front or the center back, whichever one you want to refer to. So you have to pin it. So as you can see, I've folded my bubu. Okay, so from this shoulder I'll come down by 12 inches, which is the bust point of my client I'm making this dress for. So you come down by that 12 inches. I'll be using my fabric pen. Remember, it's a butterfly bubu, so we're going to be sewing directly in front. So I'm not going to be using chalk to mark so that it doesn't leave a stain. I'll use my fabric pen so that I can easily clean off. Our bust point is 12 inches. So remember, I'll be joining the shoulder with half inch. So I'll come here at 12.5. So here is my 12.5. You may not be able to see my marker because it's a fabric pen. So I have this 12.5 now. So and our bust measurement is 52. So I'll come here now on this bust line now, I have the bust line. I'll now come here. 52 divided by 4 is 13. So I'll mark my 13 here. You want to make the chalk really faint. I know if you are paying attention, you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so this is our 12 inches, which is the bust point, and I marked my 13 inches here. So this is where my stitch will be starting to for the joining of this dress, okay, or of this gown. So now from this 12.5, the waistline of this person is 19 inches. So on this 19, I'm going to come here. Our waist measurement is 42. So 42, I'm going to mark 11, I'm going to mark 11 inches. That means I'm using 44. I'm adding half inch ease. At the bust, I didn't add any ease. If you want to add ease, you can just add extra half inch. But she wants it to be fitted around that bust part. So that's why I'm maintaining that 52. But here I want it to have just small ease, so which is 44 instead of the 42. Okay, so I have my 44 here. That's 11. So now from that point, the hip line is 26. So I'll come here too. You may not be able to see my chalk or my pen. So the hip is also 52. So I'll mark 13.5. So can you see what I'm doing? I'm using 13.5 here. I use 11 here and I use 13 here. The bust just wants the bust to be fitted. Okay, so that is it. So now this 13.5 that I have here is what I'll take all the way down to the hem of the dress. So I'll do that. I'll take it all the way down to the hem of the dress, and then I'll take to my sewing machine, and so I'll come back and show us the outcome. Okay, this is the outcome of our boo-boo. Can you see how beautiful it looks? Here's the slit around the sleeve area. And then we also have the other side. We went ahead to stone with Swarovski stone, so you can see it's glittering and giving the real rich auntie vibe. Kindly subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share.